Hello, wonderful butterflies of this world. It's your host, Ash from Butterfly Shots, back again with another episode of Ash Unmasked, the podcast where we talk about everything and anything from books to lifestyle drama stories and to everything in between. If you've been here a while, you already know this. Ash loves to talk and loves books. Dangerous combo? Maybe. Delightful? Absolutely. In this episode, we're continuing our discussion about the book Accept, Value, and Empower Yourself by David Bonham-Carter. We're a big fan of this book because it's straightforward with CBT-based tips and exercises. We love it enough that we dedicated 5 full episodes unpacking each chapter. Stick around, butterflies. We're just getting started. Quick reminder, this book does touches on some deep, potentially triggering subjects, especially for someone going through a tough mental health moment or with a mental health situation. If this is the case and you still want to do some self-work, please take your time and pause if needed. Don't ever hesitate to seek support from the professionals and ask for help if it feels right for you. Let's rewind. The book is based on a 5-step plan to help build self-esteem, which actually spelled the word value. Value yourself, accept yourself, look after yourself, understand yourself, empower yourself, and you shall increase your self-esteem. In our last episode, we explored the second chapter of the book and talked about self-acceptance. In this episode, we will dive in chapter 3 of the book called Look After Yourself. So grab a cookie and a latte or a favorite snack and a beverage and let's get to it, shall we? Boom, 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 chicka, boom, 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 boom. Hey, butterflies. Big news from behind the lens. Butterfly Shots is rebranding. While our website is still under construction, our new portfolio is now live. This relaunch of the business is all about Ash and her camera capturing real-life moments with a fresh vision. We're embracing candid action, bold color, and storytelling because we don't just take photos. We catch moment in flight. Fly, butterfly shots, fly, flight, fly. Get it? Okay, bye-bye. Back to the episode now. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah. Boom, boom. Boom, boom. This third chapter is all about looking after ourselves or self-care, but not necessarily the social media type of self-care, bubble baths and fancy masks and pink fluffy robes. Although we're not anti-bubble baths and pink fluffy robes, this can be self-care if that is one of the things that brings you joy, but it's more than that. We're talking about real, intentional care towards ourselves. The author starts by explaining why it's important to look after ourselves in order to improve our self-esteem. It is that we're not going to make an effort to do something or take care of ourselves if we don't think we're worth it. In fact, when we don't value ourselves, we don't pay enough attention to our own needs and wishes. Often, we could push ourselves too hard, spiral into stress, burnout, neglect our basic needs. Interesting. Does that sound familiar to y'all's too? Because it feels familiar to us. Anyway, that combo is not good nor cute for our self-esteem. What the author proposes to help with self-care is a twofold approach to look after ourselves. First, we need to address the beliefs that lead us to not value ourselves or to neglect ourselves with the techniques that the author proposes in this book. It's also important in our daily life to look for those beliefs when we notice them, to act differently, to make active attempts to look after our action when we notice that we're not valuing ourselves at that moment. The author then goes into the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. This is a theory to look at human needs proposed by Abraham Maslow. He was an American professor of psychology in the 20th century. Basically, the model tells us that humans have a basic number of needs and higher categories of needs. Now, we're going to go over these categories proposed by Maslow, but the point here is not whether or not we agree with the theory. It's really just a basis to help us reflect on our own needs. We have basic needs and growth needs. The basic or deficiency needs of humans are needs for oxygen, water, food, sleep, intimacy, to avoid pain, to feel safe and secure, to have stability, to be protected from harm, to have relationships of different kind, whether it's family, friends, romance, a feeling of community. There's also a need for self-esteem, for self-confidence, independence, and freedom. Now, the growth needs. This would be higher order needs, like a need to know and understand the world in which we live in, to gain knowledge of this world, the need for aesthetics, including the need for symmetry, balance, and beauty, a need for self-actualization, to achieve our full potential and find fulfillment, a need to connect to something beyond the ego. So, there's also a need to help others find fulfillment and realize their potential. What the author proposes next is an exercise which consists of looking through these categories of needs and to answer some questions. We invite y'all to give this a little thought if you'd like. Okay, there's 5 questions. The first question is, which need do you most want to meet better in your life right now? We gave it a thought, and it would be the need for love and belonging, more genuine connection with friends. How about you? The second question is, how could meeting that need impact the other needs? Feeling more connected to other people could boost your self-esteem. It could also help us reach our full potential. How about you? The third question is, what balance do you want between your needs? For us, we thought, well, maybe we could use a little less ego, less stability in order to gain more love and belonging. Give this a thought. The fourth question, what are the risks of shifting your focus? For us, well, mainly rejection and waste of time, but compared to some of our past choices, I mean, that's pretty manageable, so we should be fine. What would be the risk for you? The fifth question, what's one specific action you'll commit to this week? We will try to go out and speak to more people. We might even try revisiting relationships, but with better boundaries. What do you think? What would you commit to this week? The idea is to understand that our needs and the degree to which they're fulfilled has an impact on the way we feel and therefore on our self-esteem. Next, the author talks about how it's important for our self-esteem to keep a healthy, balanced lifestyle. Really, it's about paying attention to our priorities. It's about making sure that we're not doing too much and that we're focusing our energy in purposeful places. The basic principles for keeping a healthy, balanced lifestyle would be, but are not limited to, following healthy routines, eating well, a regular sleep pattern, doing a reasonable amount of exercise on a regular basis, avoid drinking alcohol to excess, avoid overscheduling, give permission to relax. Ooh, that's something we've worked hard on lately and we're doing so well at relaxing. Yes, mama. But there's also other aspects to having a healthy, balanced lifestyle. An important one is this one. Be kinder to yourself. Really, it's to remind ourselves that nobody's perfect. This helps deal with anxious or guilty thoughts. What we found very helpful is to talk to ourselves like we talk to our own best friend. We didn't come up with this. We read that somewhere, but yeah. Be your own best friend. So when we're going through something tough, we will really have an internal dialogue. We try to change the narrative of our internal dialogue and switch it up, really like we were talking to our best friend. Another aspect is to acknowledge our weaknesses. Yes, because everyone has them. Nobody's perfect. That being said, there's no need to dwell on our imperfections or weaknesses. Even superheroes have weaknesses. Before we go and try to change ourselves, it's important to ask ourselves how serious the weakness we're trying to change really impacts our life. And totally opposite to this, it's important to name our strengths and be proud of them loudly. This is something that we need to work on. This is when the author comes in with another exercise. It is about answering questions about a healthy, balanced lifestyle. We invite y'all to give this a little thought if you'd like. There's 3 questions. The first question is, what healthy habits are you already doing? Personally, we eat decently. We do sleep on a regular schedule. We do move almost on the daily. We do not consume alcohol. And lately, we've been crushing the relaxing game, guiltless. The second question, what could be improved? For us, more outdoor time, making sure we respect our boundaries and priorities, and gentler self-talk, because we are our own harshest critique. Now, the third question of this exercise is, in light of the previous answers, list 3 commitments for the week. We listed remain active for at least 30 minutes, 5 days a week, and that's more like a maintenance thing. Spend more time in nature. We also committed to have an Ash Day once a week where there's nothing scheduled and we go and we do what we feel like doing that day. It's even put down in our schedule to have an Ash Day. Just looking back a few weeks later, we did achieve all of these commitments, so we're pretty proud of this. Now, the author does underline that it's very important that the goals that we set for ourselves are achievable and realistic. Pro tip, write your goals down and reward progress. If you don't hit your goals, just reevaluate. Maybe they're a little bit too ambitious. We tend to do that personally. The author also brings the idea that taking care of ourselves is also keeping up with day-to-day activities to know what we achieved during a day. The author reminds us that keeping up with daily activities can actually help reduce anxiety and negative thoughts because it brings back structure when our brain starts spiraling. It helps to feel better, but don't overdo it either. This is where the author invites us on the next exercise of the chapter. He encourages us to create an activity schedule for every day of the week for the morning, afternoon, and evening. We did not engage in this exercise for the very good reason that we already do extensive time blocking. We actually followed a little course to know how to do time blocking. So yeah, we skipped this one. The key takeaways to doing this would be realistic, stay flexible, and make sure you have balance. Be realistic means to not fill every minute of the whole week with activities. When we first started working with time blocking, we would fill every minute of every day with little squares of colors, and then we wondered, like, oh, how come I can't do all this? Well, it's because nobody could. Like, come on, Ash. Anyway, be realistic about what you can achieve. Now, stay flexible. We're a very disciplined individuals, so when we put something down, we stick to it. But just remember in this case that the schedule is supposed to remain flexible. It's not a rule book, it's a guide. Now, balance. It's important to balance between the have to and want to tasks. Overall, just don't overstructure your life, but have a guide. When we first started our master's degree, we tried to overstructure our life thinking that it would help us somehow. Anyway, we tried that and it actually caused more problems for us because we could never achieve what we wanted to achieve. Our goals were not achievable and it actually had the reverse effect on our self-esteem. We became less confident. So yeah, don't overdo it. Now, the author points out that insomnia and self-esteem are related, and low sleep could lead to high overthinking, and that could lead to lower self-esteem. That could lead to more insomnia. That could lead to an accumulation of lack of sleep that could absolutely lead to ultimate chaos. Because by that point, we start to not think clearly anymore, and we think the worst about ourselves. Being tired makes it hard to concentrate, less productive on daily tasks, makes us irritable and anxious, affects the way we relate to others, more depressed, more frustrated, plus it can lead to poor judgment. Do not underestimate the importance of good sleep. The author underlines that, on average, adults need about 8 or 9 hours of sleep, but it can differ. The important thing is that you feel good, you know? On our part, we usually go to bed around 10 or 11 and wake up around 7 or 8. That would give us roughly 8 hours of sleep, often even more. We love sleep. The author does give tips for better sleep if you're someone that has a hard time. Here are some of the tips the author gives. Keep consistent sleep and wake time. So go to bed and wake up around the same hour every day. Exercise 4 to 5 hours before bedtime, not like just before sleep. Because if you exercise and you try to sleep right after, it's going to keep you awake. Avoid caffeine past early afternoon. Our threshold is around like 2, 3 p.m. We enjoy a cup of tea in the afternoon. Also avoid alcohol and heavy meals before bed. The book also says to not eat right before going to bed because that could actually cause your tummy to be upset during the night and keep you awake. Alcohol causes sleep problems, so should avoid. It also helps to have a before sleep routine, like a routine that relaxes you and tell your body that you are getting ready to go to bed. It could implement relaxation exercises. Personally, we greatly enjoy yoga for sleep or breathing exercises. Now, it's important to be comfortable in order to sleep well. Try to make sure that the room you sleep in is at an appropriate temperature. Personally, we enjoy a cold bedroom. Something helpful the author talks about is tips for when you can't sleep. First, the author proposes that it's helpful if you can't sleep at night to actually get out of your bed, walk out of the room, and to walk into another room completely. Next, write down your worries. Sit there and think about how realistic the event or situation going on in your brain is and write about it, because writing down helps. Now, you could ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen, and write down the answers. Next, find 1 or 2 small things that you could do to reduce the worrying happening or reduce the impact if this situation would be to happen. Next, accept what's out of your control. If there's nothing to be done in this situation going on in your brain, acknowledge that this event or situation might be out of your control and distract yourself. Then try returning to bed. Now, personally, we feel lazy at night, so if we can't sleep, we're certainly not going to write because we're asleep and sleepy and lazy. So let's be honest, Ash will not just start writing. That being said, we could do the mental exercise and later write about it in her journal. The author does say that it could be helpful to try to do breathing exercises when you can't sleep or relaxation techniques. The author proposes some exercises like counting backwards, tensing your toes, and guided imagery that we won't cover today. Y'all can check out the book for that. Personally, we enjoy yoga for everything, and yoga for sleep exists and it works for us. So we enjoy that. The important thing would be to find the routine that works for you. Now, the final thoughts about Chapter 3, according to the author. Low self-esteem might cause poor self-care. To boost the self-esteem, make conscious decisions to look after yourself and take the extra steps to do so. But make sure you do some relaxing activities each week and keep your goals achievable and celebrate wins, however small. Move your body, do some regular exercise, skip the alcohol, and cut down on caffeine use when you're feeling down. Opt for relaxation exercises or breathing. Seriously though, make sure you get enough sleep, because that's the basis. Boom 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 bum 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 bum. Before we wrap up, we want to quickly share something that helped us during a tough time of our life, something that we found personally valuable, and maybe you will too. It's called Pay What You Can Peer Support. It's a platform where you can connect with different support groups online with real people who listen and share without judgment. There's a list of different groups for ADHD, autism, bipolar, anxiety and stress, depression, eating disorders, OCD, postpartum depression, PTSD, addiction, LGBTQ+, chronic pain, domestic or narcissistic abuse survivors, and more. Whether you're feeling low, lonely, or just need someone to talk to outside your usual circle, it's a reminder that support is out there and you do not have to go through hard stuff alone. You pay what you can. No pressure at all. They usually advise to donate around $15 each session. Check it out if it speaks to you. The link will be in the show notes. Phew, that was a full one, wasn't it? Thank you so much for joining us for this discussion of Chapter 3 of the book Accept, Value, and Empower Yourself by David Bonham-Carter. Tune back in next Saturday at 10 a.m. for the next part of this mini-series, all about Chapter 4 of the book called Understanding Yourself. As always, we would love to hear from you. Have you read the book? What were your takeaways? Drop a message. Let's talk about it. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our future episode of the Ash Unmasked podcast. Thanks again for fluttering by the pod. We can't wait to unmask more of this life journey with yells. Peace out and take care of yourselves out there. And remember, taking care of your own needs and wants first is not selfish. In fact, it is the foundation to building a real self-esteem.